being here. This is going to be, as the kids say, an action-packed day. We've got lots of great sessions. Hopefully we'll get lots of great Q&A going back and forth, but we have a number of really, really fine speakers for you, a number of great topics I'm sure you'll be interested in, many if not all. I'm Rob Pegler. I'm a director on the SNIA board, also president of Advanced Computation and Storage. Hello, good morning everybody, happy to be here. It's a fair bit warmer than it is back home. I live in St. Louis. It will be 3 above, and that's Fahrenheit, not Kelvin, by the way. You'd be dead at 3 Kelvin. 3 Fahrenheit, which is cold enough. So anyway, very happy to be here. A little bit about the SNIA, Storage Networking Industry Association. In its 21st year or something like that now. So been around quite a while. It's a great organization. And it looks like this is on automatic. There we go. 185 different organizations are members of the SNIA, over 2,000 members. You can read the slide. But it's absolutely terrific. And we've been doing a lot of work, as you may have noticed, in this area in particular, persistent memory, but all sorts of other forms of newly emerging technologies and storage techniques and computation techniques that deal with memory and storage devices. So it's really good. I'm really happy where the SNIA is today, at least in terms of the technical work and also the spread amongst the members in the organization. So it's absolutely terrific. I'm honored to be a part of that. More than 20 years of standards development, working with the worldwide standards organizations as well. All sorts of best practices. Again, if you're not familiar with the literal reams of material that the SNIA produces, do visit the website. And also, we're recording all of these speakers today, so you'll be able to see that, right, Marty, up on the website after it's all said and done. So anyway, lots and lots of areas of concentration for the SNIA, which is absolutely terrific. Okay. Having said that, what are we going to accomplish today? Which is quite a bit, and I hope you can stay for all of it, if not, or most of it, if not all of it. But yesterday, I don't know who actually attended or knew of the hackathon that went on yesterday. Raise your hand. Yeah, look at that, a fair amount of people. That's terrific. So we want to thank Google Cloud for sponsoring that event, but we had a very successful hackathon, 25 developers, and this was all yesterday. And part of, if not most of it, was giving these programmers exposure to the SNIA NVM, non-volatile memory programming model, which is a wonderful thing. That's been an effort now about 2 years or maybe 2+ now in a part of the SNIA. And we have an entire programming model developed, and guess what? These programmers got exposed to it yesterday. How to write code to leverage persistent memory. Tiers and access modes and the impact of persistence. What does your code look like when you assume that memory is persistent? This is a really fun thing. So tomorrow, now, we have the SNIA board meeting, which I'll be a part of, but tomorrow I would love it if many of you would go out on your various social media channels and kind of tell the world what you learned today. That would be a wonderful thing. All right, so there are a number of, and you're going to hear a lot about this today, there's a number of, existing and ongoing, newly emerging, persistent memory media types. You're going to hear a lot about that. But the SNIA in particular has established a couple of new efforts. We talked about the NVM programming model. There's a twig for that, technical working group in SNIA parlance, a group of people dedicated to developing that model, ongoing, with the application and system usage of persistent memory, and also working with the standards bodies, JEDEC in particular, to accelerate those standards out in the marketplace. That's one thing that the SNIA has dedicated itself to, because we know the potential of persistent memory and now getting folks to understand the standardization of it, in particular in the media form. So we know, again, today that next generation, or I should say current generation persistent memory is available and it's on the marketplace. How many of you have actually used it or written code for persistent memory? Yeah, so not quite half of you. I have in several different forms, including one of the companies I consult for today. But it's, again, this is why this undergoing, why we did the hackathon and exposed these developers to persistent memory. right? Because we, the SNIA, have seen a significant increase in vendors, member companies coming to us and saying, hey, how do we enable applications to use this stuff, right? And not just applications, but system vendors, folks that write hypervisors, folks that write application code dealing with direct access to memory. All of that is absolutely fair game. So we can see, right, and I think you can too, we can see that, you know, native persistent memory in servers, in other compute platforms is imminent. And 2019, let me tell you what, 2019 is going to be a really interesting year for this. I coined the term a long time ago called the double Olympic cycle. And we started persistent memory efforts in 2015. So my working thesis is the double Olympic cycle. It takes 8 years for commercial software of all sorts of different flavors to go from, hey, this is the first time I heard of this thing, to full-on mainstream, you know, buy it at your grocery store kind of applications that are using persistent memory as a default media. Right? 2015, 2019, we're halfway through. We made it through the first 4 years. 4 years from now, 2023, I might not be working anymore. After all, I'm an old fart. I turn 40 next year, and that's in hexadecimal, so you figure it out. Right? So I got a slide at the end that relates to that. But anyway, so if you have the correct color hair, which some of you do, or no hair, that's acceptable too. So you can't really tell unless you walk close. But anyway, so we also are dealing with remote persistent memory. Not just good enough to have local persistent memory. Now we have remote. And we got a couple of really good talks on that, actually 3 different sessions that deal with RPM and all that. So extending the model beyond a single node, right? Within a data center, maybe between data centers. So there's this ongoing relationship between the OFA and the SNIA. And we have use cases defined. First one is high availability, as you might imagine, but there's others that are coming out now. Again, 2019, halfway through the double Olympic cycle, this is starting to come about. So today, pun intended, we're going to have persistent fun, right? And if you don't have persistent fun, you should leave, because come back and it'll still be here because it's persistent, right? So the fun is here. And we've got a metric boatload of sessions. That's a technical term, metric boatload, eh, Stephen? So not a you know, a regular imperial boatload, but a metric boatload. So we won't go there though. You can read the list. You've got an agenda in your hand. This is what we're doing, and we'll go all the way through the day and have some great presentations, and then we'll have beer o'clock. That's the last item on the agenda, so I hope you stay for that, because we have a wonderful networking event, aka beer o'clock. And I want to thank the sponsors. This couldn't happen without sponsorship. Right? You can see the underwriters on the screen, including the SSSI, a Solid State Storage Initiative, part of the SNIA, and Intel. Thank you very much. We have 5 demonstration vendors as well, and again, Google Cloud also sponsored the hackathon yesterday, which was absolutely a wonder. Do go visit these folks, because they are front and center in the world of persistent memory. They're actually making the stuff, putting it onto modules, right? Writing code for it, writing modules or software modules for it. So go tour. They're all on the mezzanine. Come to the networking reception and have all that. And here's the agenda. Again, that's a bit of an eye chart. I'm not going to read it, but you got an agenda in front of you, yes? Yes, good. Good. Make sure you pay attention to that. And even the Handy and Coughlin talk at the end of the day, you can even come to that one if you like. So it's pretty good. Okay. So please enjoy the day, right? And also please socialize what you're hearing. It's a very powerful tool, as it turns out, right? So you can see some of the URLs on that. You can always watch on demand after the event. The SNIA has its own YouTube channel, as befits the organization. You can ask questions. You can live tweet the hashtag SNIAPM. Hopefully we'll answer your question during the summit. And then again, spread the word. There is a LinkedIn group for the SNIA. And you can find that on LinkedIn. I'm not going to tell you how, because if I had to tell you how, you probably wouldn't know what to do anyway, so we won't do